Hello and welcome everyone stumbling across this YouTube feed. My name is Adam, and I am here to have a discussion all about Disney soundtracks. With the release of the live action Little Mermaid, seems like the perfect discussion to have all about Disney soundtracks. So I brought two of my oldest and best friends. First, we have Brian. What's going on, Brian?
Hey, hello. I'm excited about this, and can you lose a discussion? Because I'm
Uh,
about to.
you are about. I think we might throw up a Twitter poll at the
Ooh, I
end.
like it. Okay. Well,
Let's
thanks for
see.
inviting me. I'm really I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to chat about this.
And then we also have my buddy Dan. What's going on, Dan?
Not much. How you doing, Adam?
Doing well. So we got a couple rules before we begin our Disney soundtrack draft. The first is that it has to be a Disney film and a film actually released by Disney at the time of its release. That means no original Star Wars that are now Disney properties. We're not doing Marvel films. Pixar films are eligible, but only the Pixar films that were later released after Disney acquired Pixar. Next, we are not going to be singing any songs because this is going on YouTube, and I don't need any check marks for copyright infringement. What other rules we got? We're going to do like a snake draft. We've already decided before, and we've agreed on the rules. Brian's going to go first. Dan's going to go second. I'm going to go third. Then I'm going to go fourth. Dan fifth. Brian sixth, and so on and so forth. What other rules did we discuss?
Well, so let's see. We said so we're not singing Snake, Disney movies only, so nothing. Oh, we said we have to draft individual movies, not franchises. So we can't pick like Frozen. We have to pick one or two. With no like expanded Disney universe, so no Marvel, no Star Wars. I think you covered that really well.
We are doing the whole soundtrack, so not just like part of your world from Little Mermaid. If you want the Little Mermaid, you got to pick the entire Little Mermaid soundtrack.
Exactly. I think that's what part of what will make it fun is everybody knows the main songs, right? I think the meat of the conversation and what's going to be most interesting is talking about like how we're going to justify the rest of the soundtrack and why the stuff that's not, what everybody knows is important. I think that's going to be cool.
Or maybe the entire soundtrack's full of bangers.
Exactly.
Go first. We need a ruling on. We didn't discuss this ahead of time. We need a ruling on if the soundtrack uses non-original materials in it. And it's mainly just for one movie.
I think if
does that count?
I think the way we should do it is like if that song appears on the like official soundtrack for the film, right? Would that work? So like if
so even if it's not original, if it's part of the score of the movie, are we counting it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think of an example, but like, yeah, like.
Well, I have an example. I don't want to give it away.
No, don't. Movie. I'm gonna say don't give it away, but like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. Great soundtrack, but let's say that had original songs in it, but Come and Get Your Love by Redbone is on that soundtrack, so I think it should be included, right? Or so for the sake of this, anything that maybe not original to the Disney movie, but also is on the soundtrack and maybe plays an important role somehow, I think that's totally fine.
Honestly, one other thing we didn't discuss that we probably need to decide beforehand is animated movies that may have had a recent remake.
Ooh.
Well, I will say if you want like the live action Cinderella soundtrack versus the original Cinderella soundtrack, I'll allow it because I think that's just a mistake. I don't think a single live action movie has a better soundtrack than the original.
Well, some have more songs than the original, I should at least say.
Like the Beauty and the Beast has this weird, the live action has this like song of the Beast that's like from the musical that they added. And I'll just say, if you want to take the live action Beauty of the Beast over just original Beauty of the Beast, then I'll technically allow it.
I guess the whole point is like, because we don't have a universal or agreed upon way of like weighing these, like our draft boards are all how we are evaluating them, right? So I think I agree with you that we'd have to pick like live action Beauty and the Beast versus the cartoon. But in my head, like even if the songs are all the same, it's still performed differently,
Okay.
different artists, different into like there's different there instrumentation choices, So I think you definitely could, you have to make the argument for one or the other, even if there's extra material.
But you need to make the argument of why the live action soundtrack is worthy, not just because, the song Belle is a good song. Because, no shit, it's a good song. That's why it's on the original.
Gotcha.
I actually think that might be a mistake they were agreeing to it now that I'm thinking this through, but whatever.
I think it'll work out because, I don't think anybody's going to pick a live action versus.
I'm not planning on it.
Yeah, I'm not
But
planning
like
to-
here's an excellent like you could original Jungle Book versus the new one. Like, do we like Louis Prima's version of I Want to Be Like You, or do we like the Chris Walken version?
I want to be like you.
Yeah.
I will tell you, one of those movies is on my list. I won't
See?
say which one.
I'm a monkey. Look,
I actually
that-
think we
that
really
there-
need to make a justification because the Jungle Book basically took out all the songs, the Jon Favreau movie.
Yeah, they only kept in like 2 or 3, right?
So, you know what? I think it's going to be a moot point.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think you're probably right. And anything else, I suppose we can snap judgments when we need to, or we can ask Chat GDP any tiebreakers.
All right. I have a list. I also have some track listings and some notes on and I think most of the soundtracks we're going to pick.
Okay.
So if you guys have any fun facts, feel free to bring them up. But I think we should just get right into it. What do you guys say?
So
Yeah,
we're
that
going to
sounds
get into it. The last question I have is: so we give we're going to give our pick, and then like a quick justification, and then are we going to discuss, or how long are we going to dedicate to like discussing justification after?
I think you need to have a 5-minute dissertation.
Okay.
Allow for a 2-minute rebuttal.
With sources, with sources and references.
Yeah, I think you need a quote from the artist. You can go as fast or slow as you want.
Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure that we had all of our expectations. I feel like I'm in a business call. Like I just wanted to level set here, make sure that we were all on the same page before moving forward. Ugh, I would have kicked my own ass.
All right. Well, with the first pick, we agreed that Brian would have it. To me, this is a no-brainer, but it's not my decision. Brian, what are you going with?
All right, I'm taking notes here. So round 1.
There's a graph on the screen.
Yes, no, I see. I like to keep very much in my Jack White vein. I like to take notes analog. All right. Very well. I guess I'll kick this off then with the first overall pick for the Disney soundtrack draft. I am taking Encanto.
You motherfucker.
Oh, so cursing's okay. That won't get us demonetized. I am taking Encanto with the first pick. My thought process is part of it is because it's a snake draft, and I didn't think I would have the chance, and I have some, based on when I get, for pick number 6 here, I have some other things that I can do with this, but I'm going to take Encanto, and my reasons are,
you're an asshole.
well, because it's the best pick. Because I am picking this though because one of the big things that I thought about when I was trying to come up with my list was how to reconcile nostalgia glasses for like the classic Disney songs that we grew up with versus the newer stuff and like the nostalgia or the recency bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going with Encanto because it's, from a cultural perspective, it was a pop culture huge iconic hit, like with Bruno. Every single song in there was important and relatable, but also different. It shows a huge breadth of songwriting ability, a lot of different styles. You know, the round and the multiple running lines in Bruno is phenomenal. The empowerment and impact that Surface Pressure had with people. The fact that Lin-Manuel writes a song in Spanish for the first time, and I think Adam agrees with me here. The fact that Bruno wasn't nominated for the awards where the Dos Gorditas was is crazy to me. But they had to, if I remember correctly, like they had to pick before they knew Bruno was going to be such a massive hit, right?
Yeah, so we don't talk about Bruno was like a huge TikTok trend,
right?
And the whole Encanto thing was actually like it major bomb in the theaters. It got released to Disney Plus like basically a month later and fucking just blew up.
Mm-hmm.
We Don't Talk About Bruno became a huge TikTok trend and just became basically the song from the movie. But the way the Academy Awards work now is that basically you like submit your songs from your movie that you want. It gets like narrowed down from like a committee, and then from like a list of like 15, it gets narrowed down to 5. And it takes a while. And so when they originally submitted it, and Lin-Manuel Miranda's talked about this of like these songs, like We Don't Talk About Bruno is like all these different characters. And as we go through the list, like these types of songs don't get nominated for Academy Awards. So it's like, we're going to go with Dos Oruguitas.
Right.
And it's literally like the worst song, I think, on the soundtrack. So here's the track listings. The Family Madrigal, banger.
Yeah.
Waiting on a Miracle, banger.
It's excellent.
Surface Pressure, banger.
Yep.
We Don't Talk About Bruno, huge banger.
Yep.
What Else Can I Do? Really good. And then Dos Oruguitas is like the worst song out of all of those.
No, I completely agree. It was actually in my top 5, so you're right. It would not have gotten back to you.
It was going to be my first round pick.
Well, then I'm glad that I lobbied for first pick. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is like it was such a huge cultural hit when it finally did hit, but I wanted to discount the recency bias a little bit because we don't have the we can evaluate the Little Mermaids and the Beauty and the Beast of the world with 20, 30 years of hindsight now because we're old as fuck. But we don't have the same thing with Encanto, and we don't have the same thing with those songs. But I do think we still look back at Alan Menken and with veneration, and we still remember all those songs. And I think that Encanto and the other Lin-Manuel, I think Lin-Manuel has the potential to be as big or bigger and remembered the same way we remember all of those other, the other Disney.
It turns out
the Rices and the Menkins, etc.
The guy who wrote the greatest musical of all time wrote a really good Disney soundtrack. And it's going to be no surprise that the other
I'm sorry. Andrew Lloyd Webber has not written a Disney song. That's a different draft.
His other Disney song, his musical is going to come out. It's later in this draft, I guarantee it. But I do think that like it's a great song. I do think it's a legit first rounder. I don't think the first round pick, and I kind of think Dan's going to take the movie I'm going to take as the first round pick. Because Dan, what's your theory? You have a theory about Disney?
I have lots of theories. You got to be a little more specific
about Disney villains.
Oh, okay. So Disney villains are what make the movie, obviously. The hero is only as good as the villain is evil. And that's true even beyond Disney. That's true in all movies. The only reason why Harry Potter is as good as what it is because Lord Voldemort and honestly Professor Umbridge is that bad. That being said, my favorite villain song is actually not where I'm going to go. If we're ready for me to move on, I will select the second overall pick, which I have to take Aladdin. The animated version. Top to bottom, I think it's the best soundtrack Disney probably ever came out with. And I'll admit there might be some nostalgia biased with that because I want to say it came out when I was like 6. Mm-hmm. But Arabian Nights, fantastic. One Jump Ahead, fantastic. And then you have back-to-back Robin Williams songs with Friend Like Me and Prince Ali. A Whole New World for a great change of pace. Just I think overall, top to bottom, a really, really good soundtrack, and honestly, an amazing movie along with it.
2 Oscar nominations. Friend Like Me lost to A Whole New World.
Yep.
Wow.
So let me put this back on all of us.
I bet. I bet if it was later. I bet if Robin Williams was not around when that decision was made, I think Friend Like Me wins it. But I just want to say, Dan, I couldn't agree with your selection more, and I was hoping that maybe Aladdin would get around back to me because that's what I.
That was my number
with.
one movie. That was my number one movie.
I'm with you, and Prince Ali, like the other songs are good. Arabian, like Robin Williams,
all 5 songs are pretty.
They're
incredible.
so good. But Friend Like Me is just one of my. Are we going to take a brief detour to talk about the controversy of the line in Arabian Nights that they changed? Do you guys know about this?
No.
So there's a line in Arabian Nights that they changed, and there's a line in Prince Ali that they changed in the live version as well.
That's right.
It's one of those things where I understand changing it, and I have absolutely no problem with it. Obviously,
yeah.
It's how much can you punish a song for the time that it was written?
Right. I think we do just as a society have to be. I'm not trying to. This is going to sound terrible, and I'm not trying to defend any of it, but I do think as a society we could do a better job of, just at least having the context and judging people by the standards of their time. Versus like what's, because every musician from the 70s is an absolute piece of shit.
Yep.
If we're going to go down that road, and it's true, but if we look at the standard of the time, was it different? And it doesn't make it good, but I agree with like, let's talk about it. Like kind of what Disney is doing right now, Disney Plus, let's preserve it. Let's talk about it so it doesn't happen again. And so we understand why it's harmful versus just pretending it never happened.
So I've seen about like 10 musicals in my life, and one of them was the Aladdin musical when it came to Chicago.
I saw the Aladdin side too.
And
was it good? I haven't seen it.
It was the worst piece of...
Really? I loved it. I loved the genie. I have to say that. The guy that played the genie was fantastic. The play itself was probably a little longer than it needed to be, and they added stuff in that didn't need to be there, but the guy that played the genie was phenomenal.
Do you guys watch Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
I have not.
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
There's a show. Anyway.
Wait, is he in it? Wait, is he? Are you? Wait, what's his name?
The guy who plays the genie, who originated the genie on Broadway, is from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, not Titus.
Does he have a name? Does he have a name like Chardonnay, or is it like a wine, or like Pinot Noir? I thought that was. Anyway.
All right.
Well, sorry, you took the best 2 are taken, sir. So.
Well, weirdly, the one, like if I had the number 1 overall pick is still on the board, so I'm going to take that.
Okay.
It's a movie from 1946.
Ooh.
The actual movie is the kindly storyteller Uncle Remus tells a young boy stories about the trickster Briar Rabbit who outwits Briar Fox and slow-witted Briar Bear, and that's a Song of the South.
Song of the South.
No, I am taking a film where the songs were written by a guy named Elton John. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's awesome, and that's The Lion King.
That was my number 3 for those that are keeping track of that.
I assume you're talking about the cartoon and not the live action.
Oh my! I could
given our previous conversation. Yeah, it was rough.
The Circle of Life, banger. Just Can't Wait to Be King, banger.
Great.
The villain song, Be Prepared, banger. Hakuna Matata, banger. Can You Feel the Love Tonight of a female lion giving fuck me eyes.
Yeah, sexy eyes.
Banger. 3 Oscar nominees of best song from this movie. Can You Feel the Love Tonight beat out Circle of Life and Hakuna Matata. Just icon after icon after icon. This soundtrack fucks. This movie fucks. Just like the best animated Disney movie, at least of minimum during the Disney Renaissance, if not all time.
Ooh. I know that's not the point of the podcast. I will definitely, of this episode anyway, I will give you the soundtrack. Amazing. Top 3. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. The last time I watched Lion King, I felt like it didn't quite hold up like I remembered it. It was shorter. It was a little, I don't know. So
A little too much like Hamlet.
I love Jeremy Irons, and like there's some great acting in it. There's great voice work, but yeah, I don't know. Overall, it left me a little more like I recently rewatched both Aladdin and Lion King just with my 4-year-old, and I don't know. I liked Aladdin more. It just felt like Lion King didn't quite do it for me. But to each their own. So I would challenge it's the best of the Disney Renaissance ones, but with the soundtrack, I have no fault with that.
I agree with you, Brian. Personally, I do like Aladdin more. Lion King is number 2 in my book. That being said, I will say I think Be Prepared is one of the most underrated songs in all of Disney. I think it is a phenomenal song
100%.
and just kind of gets lost in the rest of how good that soundtrack is. Also, just for the record, the live version, you have Beyonce and Seth Rogen on the same song track, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, good. That's a good point.
Yeah. That live action, it's just like, turns out that when you are animating a movie like with cartoons, like you can make a lion smile and have emotions.
Yep.
And when you're doing a CGI actual lion, it's just, I am happy. I am sad. Oh no, my father died. It's a freaking, you're animating a real lion. What are we doing here? So dumb. Anyway, I have another pick.
Yes, you do.
I am taking the cartoon version that was the impetus of this podcast. I'm taking the 1989 Little Mermaid.
Yeah, nice.
Again, Part of Your World, banger. Under the Sea, banger. The villain song, Poor Unfortunate Souls, banger. Kiss the Girl, a little bit weird in the context of the movie, but still a good song. And then the chef has a song which is kind of weird.
The chef song is the chef. Okay, I'm so sorry. The chef song is amazing, and I know we're not singing, but I'm not going to. But there's one part of the song where he does like instead of lyrics, he rhymes a like nasally French laugh, and it's hysterical. Like it's kind of a throwaway song, but it's actually really good. It's very funny. But yeah, Little Mermaid, excellent decision.
The number 2 movie on my board, being perfectly honest, Poor Unfortunate Souls, I think is the best villain song in all of Disney. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, Chef Louis, amazing. Renee Auberjonois does a great job doing the chef's voice. I personally like Kiss the Girl. I realize it's weird given the target audience, but I think it's a fantastic song. Under the Sea, probably next to maybe a certain song earlier in Disney history, probably like the most Disney-esque song that there is.
I think I agree with you, and I actually think Under the Sea has a shout to be best Disney song of all time. Full stop.
Probably.
That's a hard conversation, but yep. I do think Under the Sea is in there in that conversation.
All right, Dan, you got the next pick.
All right. Well, being in a group with a bunch of 30-somethings, I feel like I have to just knock off the one that we haven't hit yet and put Beauty and the Beast as my second overall pick. One of the last ones from our true childhood when we were still. I'm still Disney, but very much. Belle. Yeah, Belle's amazing. Gaston, amazing. Be Our Guest. Jerry Orenbach, amazing.
R.I.P. Jerry Orenbach, man.
Yeah,
underrated.
The Mob song, the Kill the Beast, amazing. I just love it. Beauty and the Beast, obviously with Angela Lansbury. It's just a great soundtrack again, beginning to end, without really a bad one in there.
They had to convince Angela Lansbury to sing Beauty and the Beast. Very obviously, she doesnn have the best singing voice, but she just
like British. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Another Alan Menken production, lyrics by Howard Ashman. I should say Alan Menken and Howard Ashman also did The Little Mermaid. Alan Menken and Tim Rice did Aladdin. But I was gonna say with Angela Lansbury, like she just brings such gravitas to the song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if they could have found someone like with a better voice, it just wouldn't be as powerful.
Correct.
She just kills it. And again,
And
part of the reason, like, we picked literally the first 4 movies of the Disney Renaissance, and part of the reason they are the Disney Renaissance is because their soundtracks are incredible.
Yeah,
that's true. And I like talking about potential best Disney songs, full stop. Like, Be Our Guest is amazing. That's a phenomenal. And I want to point, it got to me. I probably would have gone with Beauty and the Beast as my second pick as well. And I wanted to point out something that, something else about it that I really like that might get either missed or kind of overlooked given the other really great songs. The score, the underlying music for Beauty and the Beast is unreal, and you hear it and it invokes everything you want out of Beauty and the Beast. It invokes Disney, it invokes that like fairy tale, and it's based on, or at least when I hear it, especially the kind of the opening over the like the voiceover where they're kind of telling the story, and it's like stained glass right at the beginning.
Yep.
That song reminds me, there's a very famous piece of music called The Carnival of the Animals by a French composer named Camille Saint-Saëns, I think. And it's a bunch of it's 12 or more different movements, and each movement is named after an animal, and each song is supposed to, like, the music is supposed to invoke the animal. So like when there's elephants, it's like boom, 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 etc. But I think it's the third movement of Carnival of the Animals is called the Aquarium, and it uses this really, really, really cool instrument. It's like a crystal, it's like a crystal xylophone kind of thing. I forget what it's called, but if you hear the song Aquarium from Carnival of the Animals and listen to it, you're like, one, I've definitely heard this song before. It's one of those, like, I know I've heard it and don't know the name. But two, it sounds just like Beauty and the Beast, and it has the same kind of like sense of wonder. And fun fact, that song, Carnival of the Animals, Aquarium, is used in the video, or like the movie, at the France Pavilion in Epcot Center.
Really?
Yes. So there's a little. So anyway, if you have the chance, if you haven't heard it, check out Aquarium from Carnival of the Animals. It's outstanding.
All right. And with that diatribe, the next 2 movies.
Now, oh man. So now I've got to. All right, now I've really got to think about this here.
Yeah, to be honest, I had a tier of like these 5 were my first 5.
Yep.
And
mine too.
I have a 6th that I think is clearly 6, but it's like a tier below.
Okay, so now I have to think about what. I knew the first ones were going to be good, but now I got to really think about.
Actually,
yeah.
I don't want it to, because Jeopardy. I'm sure the Jeopardy theme song is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no kidding.
All right, you got to pick.
I know. I'm on the clock, right? I need to take the. Okay, I'm gonna go with.
What are you doing?
Well, I get 2. Right? Okay.
You get 2.
Oh shit! All right, you know what I'm gonna do? It's gonna. Let's do it. I'm gonna do it like I'm drafting. I got 2 picks in a row, and I'm drafting like twins. Let's take Frozen 1 and Frozen 2.
Oh damn!
I'm going back to back. Let's pick them both.
Got cold all
Let's talk about Frozen.
Yeah, let's talk about Frozen. So first, I'm taking Frozen. I think Frozen 2 might be the overall stronger. I think Frozen 2 has a better songwriting. I think it has a better dynamic of songs. It has a better range. Like the cool, Peter Cetera kind of like 80s ballad that Christoph sings with Sven and all the Svens that's in 2.
Into the Woods.
Is that what it's called? Into the Woods. And then of course you have Into the Unknown, which everybody loved. Excellent cover by
Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, at the end, phenomenal. But even I think the
Lost in the Woods, not Into the
Lost.
Woods.
That's it. Lost in the Woods. I think one of my favorite songs, I think maybe the best performance. Of course, Idina Menzel gets all the credit for having such an amazing voice, and you can talk about Frozen 1, but obviously Let It Go, huge commercial success, huge pop culture success. But it was an amazing film, and that was really like groundbreaking in terms of the story and like what it meant for people to see two sisters, et cetera, et cetera. But we're talking about the music and like, do you want to build a snowman? Like these were huge. They really impacted, and like people will remember that like we remember Aladdin, Little Mermaid. The kids that grew up with Frozen are going to remember that in the future. So I'm taking Frozen 1 because it was first with that pick number 6 because it was the original, and I'm taking Frozen 2 next because it stands up on its own. And last thing I'll say is I really want to take a shout out in Frozen 2 soundtrack to Kristen Bell's performance.
Yep.
Her performance, especially in Frozen 2, is amazing. And the song Next Right Thing, holy crap. Like you go back and listen to that again and listen to how powerful her performance is, especially at the end and like the climax of the song. It's amazing. And I think it's overlooked and gets overshadowed by a lot of the rest of it. So the only songs they're good songs that I don't love are like the Olaf songs.
So that's the thing with Frozen and Frozen 2 is that Frozen has Let It Go, which is clearly the best song on both albums.
Yeah.
Clearly the Oscar winner.
Mm-hmm.
It has Do You Want to Build a Snowman for the First Time in Forever and Love is an Open Door.
Mm-hmm.
All good songs. But it also has by far and away the 2 worst songs on either album, I think, which is Olaf's Summer Song and The Rock's weird song Fixer Upper.
Oh, I hate that song.
Yeah. It's like tough. Yeah. But then you have Frozen 2, which I think is more consistent, but doesn't reach the highs that the original Frozen soundtrack. Just want to shout out Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who wrote both songs.
Right on.
Yeah, I agree. I've only seen the first Frozen, but I do think it's interesting that you call out Kristen Bell, which I think deservedly so. It is hard to stand up to a vocal talent like Idina Menzel, and she does do a very nice job with the songs that she does, at least in the first one. Which I love the first one. There is a reason I haven't seen the second one outside of the fact that I just haven't seen it.
Okay.
Clearly, you can tell which one of us has a daughter and which one of us has sons.
That son is just turned 1, and I'm also pretty sure it came out roughly within the past year, didn't it?
Frozen 2?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it came out like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I want to say like 2017, maybe?
No.
I think so.
Yeah. It's been a minute. It's
2019. So,
okay.
I've been busy the past 4 years.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's on my to-do list.
I just think like Let It Go was like clearly like if TikTok was around, that song would have blown up on TikTok.
Yep.
It was all over YouTube at the time.
It blew up for the time, and it would have blown up even more now. I think you're right.
Such a smart choice because it's based on Hans Christian Andersen's The Ice Queen, where that Elsa character was the bad guy, and the Lopez wrote Let It Go as like an entryway point into the story to make her she's not technically a villain, even though she does cause havoc. She's a very sympathetic character throughout both stories, in part because of her motivations of Let It Go.
The real villains in Frozen 1 are her parents.
Yeah, I love all the. We can go to sidetrack. I love one of my favorite Frozen related videos is intercut of do you want to build a snowman with Breaking Bad? Little Anna going, do you want to build a snowman? And then it cuts to Jesse going, this is my own private domicile, bitch. And then it cuts and she goes, okay, bye.
Oh, that's great.
That's a good one.
Like Frozen was like, if I don't know if anyone's watching this video and doesn't know, but Frozen was a thing. Dan, your third pick in the draft.
Yep. So I do feel like I have to leave the 90s after my first two picks. I'm actually going to go the other direction, though, and back in time and pick the Jungle Book.
Nice.
One of the movies, the soundtrack heavily influenced by the Sherman Brothers, which did a ton of work for Disney. Bare Necessities and I Want to Be Like You, two great just headliner songs that are still very much used today. The Elephant's March, which is kind of played throughout the movie in different parts, I think, again, very underrated and phenomenal. Just as one little piece of trivia, it is also the last movie that Walt Disney had any part of before he died. So this is his last farewell movie.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yep.
All right, man. I don't think I even really had the Jungle Book on like my short list.
I Want to Be Like You speaks to me. I love that freaking song.
That I Want to Be Like You is a great song, and like Louis Prima was a big that's a good get for the time. He was very famous. That's so cool. And yeah, just a great. I can't believe they got rid of so many songs. There were so many good songs. And again, talk about the score. The background music of the Jungle Book is beautiful. It's really, really gorgeous.
But the problem is, like, to me, Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book is one of the only good, if not the only good, live action adaptation, in part because if you watch the original movie, it's kind of a mess. Like, there's a whole part where there's like buzzards in there that are supposed to be the Beatles and that aren't, and it's kind of a weird, like, acid trippy story that doesn't quite congeal. And then turns out, oh yeah, let's actually like make this a cohesive story with like rising action and the 5-act story structure, and it magically works.
So I can tell you that if we were doing movies based off of the movie itself, this probably would not have made my list at all. But again, just going based off of soundtracks, Bare Necessities and I Want to Be Like You, again, quintessential Disney. The Elephant's March, fantastic. The Buzzards did have their own song, kind of Beatlesque thing that it wasn't as great, but it's still good. And again, Sherman Brothers writing a lot of the songs, it's really big in Disney overall, especially in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
good choice though.
When I was doing my list, I actually ranked it, and I had a movie for number 6 that is technically still on the board, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with a film that is technically released by the Disney Corporation that I completely forgot about when I did my original testing because it's not at all like a Disney movie. That's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, I thought about that.
Excellent choice.
I thought about doing that.
Yep.
And I was literally like, when I was doing this with my friends, like, what about The Nightmare Before Christmas? Like, oh, I was just like so in my head about the Disney Renaissance and the classical Disney cartoons. And this is very much a Tim Burton, like from the mind of Tim Burton, even though it's Tim Burton's movie and he didn't technically direct it. Regardless, songs by the Oingo Boingo star Danny Elfman, who voices Jack Skellington, but weirdly it doesn't sing for Jack Skellington, which
I thought it was the other way around. I thought Danny Elfman sings for Jack, but isn't the voice.
Is it?
I would double check, but I think that's how it was.
Okay.
And they casted the actor because he sounded like Danny Elfman singing.
I'll be honest, that actually like makes more sense, like logic-wise. So, track listings of "This Is Halloween," "Jack's Lament," "What's This," which I sing to myself all the time. Like my kid asks me, "What's this?" And I go, "What's this? What's this?" And I just want to break out into the song.
That song is. My daughter went through, like, around Christmas time. We showed it to her for the first time, and she went through a phase where she had to listen to like the Halloween Town song or "This Is Halloween," and "What's This?" and "What's This?" You go. It's phenomenal. Like
So
from a
good.
technical standpoint, from a songwriting standpoint, that song is unbelievably good.
Town meeting song, Jack's Obsession, Kidnap Sandy Claus, Making Christmas, Oogie Boogie song, Sally's song, who's voiced by the great Catherine O'Hara,
Love it.
and Poor Jack. 0 Oscar nominations for Best Song, which was ridiculous. The soundtrack is incredible. Okay.
Also, shout out to one of my favorite comedians and Whose Line Is It Anyway participants as a voice in Nightmare Before Christmas is Greg Proops.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's a couple of the random like monsters in the town, but he's the he's the saxophone player, like that's like, great job, Bone Daddy. It's him, and it's phenomenal. I love him.
All right. With my next
All right.
pick, now I'm going to get into more sentimental. I mean, I like all my picks, but I think this one is, you can easily make an argument that there are better albums on the board. And the actual album of Mulan, I will say, is kind of but to me, my all-time favorite song is the song that's sung by Donny Osmond. His character doesn't voice the real character, but he sings "I'll Make a Man Out of You." I just think it's incredible. I love it. It's so catchy, so good. I was in 9th grade world history, and we were talking about the Huns, and literally the kid behind me broke out into the first refrain of "I'll Make a Man Out of You." Just in the middle of class. She was teaching.
Amazing.
But it also had...
I was going to say, I can say with absolute certainty it's my favorite Donny Osmond song. It's great pick, Kaplan. That is a phenomenal pick. I actually had that pretty high on my board.
Yeah. Honor to Us All, solid. The Christina Aguilera classic Reflection.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do the actual movie, but she got released as a single from it. And then, if this doesn't scream late 90s, I don't know what does. True to Your Heart, sung by 98 Degrees and Stevie Wonder. To close out the album.
Whoa, I didn't realize that it was also Stevie Wonder. That's amazing. That's hilarious.
Yes. So not just like, oh, we got this hot boy band coming up. We're going to throw in Stevie Wonder. Just ridiculous. Are there better albums? Probably. But are there better albums close to my heart? No, there are not.
Yeah, you know what? So that's what the draft is about, right? Sometimes.
I'm also not convinced that this Mulan will come back to me for my later pick. So
it would not have. It wouldn't have been my next pick, but it would have been the one afterwards if it was still available.
Yeah.
I think it's a good pick. It's, I think, an underrated 90s movie. There's so many greats in the 90s, and I think that one is very, very good, but sometimes gets overlooked just based off of the other movies that came out during that time frame.
I 100% agree. All right, Dan, your 4th pick. Which one are you taking?
Yep, I got to stick with my Sherman Brothers and take Mary Poppins.
Great choice.
Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke doing so many of the songs on there. Spoonful of Sugar, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Classic.
Chim Chimmery. David Tomlinson, the guy who plays the dad, who also did another live-action Disney movie, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. The Fiduciary Bank song, and that song he did in the beginning, and I can't remember. Oh, The Life I Lead.
Yeah, I mean, the track listings: Stisser, Suffragette, The Life I Lead, The Perfect Nanny, Spoonful of Sugar, Pavement Artist, Charlie Holiday, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Stay Awake, I Love to Laugh, Feed the Birds, Fidelity, Fiduciary Bank, Chim Chim Chimmery, which won the Oscar that year for Best Song, Step in Time, A Man Has Dreams, Let's Go Fly a Kite. Legit, like, when they were making soundtracks.
Which, according to the Sherman Brothers, again, a little bit of Disney trivia, Feed the Birds was Walt Disney's favorite song.
Really?
Yep.
That's
they would be in there practicing late on a Friday, and apparently Walt Disney would just walk in and ask them to play it, and they would play it for him.
Look at that.
According to the Sherman Brothers, at the very least.
All right, Brian, you got another 2 picks.
I got 2. All right. Excellent. All right, then let's see. I'm trying. I appreciate both of you guys like going with some of the newer stuff, the classic stuff. But 2, I think I might. I got 2. I think I'm gonna do 2. Okay, I'm gonna do one of each. I think for this next pick, I'm gonna take an older.
I'm glad you didn't
I
have
was gonna
15
say,
minutes to think about this.
yeah, I know, right? Okay, forget it. Okay, I'm gonna think about. I'm gonna go with Moana.
Moana's good.
So that was the movie that I originally had written down. If I had the number 1 pick, what would I take with my second pick?
Mm-hmm.
Would have been another Lin-Manuel Miranda classic.
Yeah, this was. I feel like this was his. Obviously Hamilton was his coming out party, but this was the first one he did for Disney, right? And the songs are to use yours, like to use how you've been going, like How Far I'll Go is a banger. Where You Are, the Chief at the beginning, that song, phenomenal. Like great introductory song, really well done, like great way to do expo through a song, like very Broadway. Then we see a lot of Lin-Manuel's Broadway chops, like the very Broadway soliloquy kind of like reprise at the end where she sees her grandma again. But everybody rags on what I think has become my favorite song in the whole movie, and that's Shiny, because it is Lin-Manuel Miranda's tribute to David Bowie. And the story...
Who sung Shiny?
Jermaine Clement from
Flight of the
Conchords.
When I first heard it, I could have sworn that's like, oh, they let Jermaine Clement like do his own song for the soundtrack, because it sounds very Flight of the Conchords-y.
Yes.
But then I heard Lin-Manuel do the demo for it. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. If anybody out there is listening to this, you already know about it, but go out on YouTube and find Lin-Manuel's demo of Shiny, because he does a Bowie impression, and it's like terrible and great at the same time.
And then you forgot the best song on the soundtrack, which is You're Welcome.
Which is
that is a great song.
That song is phenomenal, and
who knew The Rock could sing?
Right.
And
he
does.
Yeah, that's fair.
He does the best he can, and the fact that he actually gets through one of Lin-Manuel's raps in it is great.
I do love how, like, if you hear Lin-Manuel do the rap at the end, there's an extra point where I think The Rock kind of ran out of steam, so he goes,
yes, he absolutely does. He drops like an entire line of the rap and just like does gibberish.
Versus Stephanie Beatrice in The Family Madrigal, like, balls out at the end of that song.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, she does a phenomenal job. I think that's the best song, honestly, in that movie. I know you guys were talking about Bruno earlier, but I love that song, and actually my son does too, so we listen to it all the time.
No, I agree with you. It's a great song, and we didn't talk about how great Stephanie Beatrice's voice sounds in that. She's fantastic as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. So okay, I'm gonna go with Moana, and then for my my next pick, I'm gonna go with my. I'm debating going with one just because. Let me look at the track listing real quick just to confirm if this is what I want to do.
I'm really glad you're doing this live.
I know, right? Well, this is how I usually do my. Okay, I'm gonna go with. Fuck it, I'm gonna go with Pinocchio.
Solid choice. Solid choice.
It's it's older, but not every song on the track. Not every song is a banger, but it's one of those that it's so early. It's one of the earliest ones. It really helps solidify and establish the tradition of these great Disney musicals and the great songs. But you can't overlook When You Wish Upon a Star It's iconic. It is the probably most iconic like song associated with Disney as a whole. And
I don't know if you know this,
yeah.
but Disney cruises, when they leave port, actually the horn plays "When You Wish Upon a Star."
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that. That's awesome.
That's why I was actually going to pick it, just because that song is Disney. It's worked into other soundtracks all the time.
That's a really good point. But yeah, like every they play it during every fireworks thing, and Jiminy Cricket is the spokesperson for so many things Disney, and so I'm going with Pinocchio, largely because of Pinocchio's home run threat ability with that song.
Yeah.
And I've Got No Strings, which is another classic.
That's a good one, right?
According to Wikipedia, Pinocchio was really the movie credited with actually having a soundtrack associated with the term. Here's a soundtrack associated with the movie.
Right,
really?
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Solid. Yeah, When You Wish Upon a Star was the winner for best song that year. To me, this is I don't know if it's necessarily the best older pre 1970 movie soundtrack, but it's the most iconic.
It's definitely the most iconic. I did pick two movies prior to 1970 that I think are better, but this was actually next up on my list, and he stole it from me.
So, I'm sorry. I appreciate that we're all on the same page here, though. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right, Dan.
All right. Yep, I am going to stay.
Brian, I need you to be on the ball and start looking at what you're taking for your last pick.
Okay, I'm more into now. I think I know what I'm doing. There's so many good options, though.
All right, sorry.
All right,
I'm gonna pick one more old one before hopefully coming back to something newer. I'm gonna see your Pinocchio and raise you Cinderella.
Get that. Oh, it's what I was debating with switching. Great choice.
Yeah, A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes, Bippity Boppity Boo, Cinderella, all just great, iconic Disney songs. I didn't grow up in the 50s, but even growing up in the 80s and 90s definitely was a part of my childhood. And again, sentimental value probably plays a huge role in this pick, but I do think it is very Disney-y, and again, just great soundtracks with great art. I can't even tell you who sang any of them, but just great voices.
Great pick.
Good choice. Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. My last two picks. So I'm on a group thread with a couple people, some recent friends I met on Twitter who were helping me out with this. And when I went through my original list of when I had ranked, the one that stood out is they said Tarzan is ranked too low. So
Tarzan.
I moved it up, and I think I'll take that with my fifth pick.
Are your friends Phil Collins fans?
I don't know. Songs written by Phil Collins, You'll Be in My Heart. Again, a banger, won the Oscar that year for Best Picture.
It's a solid pick.
Two Worlds, Son of Man, Trash in the Camp, Strangers Like Me. Actually, you know what? Can I change it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's good. And I think I respect their opinions, but I'm going to go with another soundtrack that I like a little bit better from the same era. And I'm gonna take Hercules.
Ooh, good.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Dark Horse.
This is another Alan Menken production, this time lyrics by David Zippel. A soundtrack very overtly influenced by the Motown style of the 1970s.
Yep.
Literally having a Greek chorus throughout the movie that are awesome. Danny DeVito, I like his song. He can't sing, but Zero to Hero is really good.
Yeah.
I Won't Say I'm in Love. The Princess song is really good. Go the Distance.
Is that Michael Bolton? Go the Distance.
Who
sings that one?
I know Tate Donovan did the voice. I don't know if he did the singing voice as well. Go the Distance ended up getting the Oscar nomination for Best Song and ended up losing.
What did it lose to? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. That's a great question.
No one.
I did not write it down. I originally had it ranked ahead of Tarzan, and then my friends yelled at me, and now that I'm having a spur of the moment decision, I'm changing my vote.
Okay.
Now for my last pick. So many great still left on the board. Having a Brian moment.
It's understandable. There are some really good ones left on the board too.
So there's one that's kind of like, I know it would never get drafted anyway. It would be a nice send off, but I don't know if people like it as much. Okay. I'm going to go with our first Pixar movie, and I'm going to go Coco.
Ooh.
I'll tell you what I was debating afterwards. I don't want to necessarily ruin it for you guys, but
okay.
So the only downfall to Coco, I would say, is that it's not really a musical the way a lot of these others are musicals. It's really got one main song, which is "Remember Me," and it's a very good song. And then the other songs are "Un Poco Loco," which is the song that they sing in the talent show in the middle of it, and "La Llorona," which is the song kind of at the climax. And then there's "Everyone Knows Juanita" and "Proud Corazon." So that would be its only knock on it, but it is my sixth and last pick.
Yeah, but I mean the whole movie is about music. Like that soundtrack is really good, and they pay a lot of attention. And the fact that it's so culturally significant and a good representation I think that's really neat.
Yeah, this is songs by Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who did the Frozen movies, plus Jermaine Franco and Adrian Molina also helped. So those are my last two picks. Stan.
Yeah, like you, and I'll wait till we're done. I did have one movie that I wasn't quite sure what to do with, and I don't think I'm going to pick it, even though I do like the music in it quite a bit. That being said, the movie I am going to pick is The Princess and the Frog.
Ooh, okay.
I'm glad you said it because that was the one that was
really.
Yeah.
Friends on the Other Side and Down in New Orleans, I think, are two just phenomenal songs. Overall, I think it's an underrated, kind of passed over Disney movie. 100%. And after spending my last three picks in the 50s and 60s, felt like I had to kind of come back to the present and round my team out a little bit. So that was kind of my thinking there. Is really Down in New Orleans and Friends on the Other Side really just sold it for me. I can't say I know a lot of the other songs on the soundtrack besides those two, but I think those two are fantastic.
Yeah, so I'll pull up the checklist. I mean, Keith David, the great Keith David, playing the Voodoo Man, singing songs, Friends on the Other Side, definitely helps your argument of villains get some of the better songs.
Yeah,
the song is great. This one was definitely one. It was songs by Randy Newman. Heard of him? Down in New Orleans and Almost There. Both were nominated, both lost. I think, I don't know, I like the soundtrack too. It's just like the songs in the movie just didn't quite pop culturally. And I don't know why. I'm with you. It kind of feels like it's all underrated. But yeah. Never Knew I Needed, Down in New Orleans, Almost There, Friends on the Other Side, When We're Human, Gonna Take You There, Ma Belle, Evangeline, and Dig a Little Deeper.
And just to kind of go back to the underratedness, I think the reason why is because this was a kind of a classically animated Disney movie, kind of at the height of Pixar. And I think that kind of, they were hoping it would make it stand out, which I think it kind of pushed it to the back. It wasn't the Pixar style animation. It was more the 90s and 80s flat animation, for lack of a better word. And I think that ultimately hurt the movie, hurt the soundtrack, hurt a lot of it.
It also came out in like a really great animated movie year. Like this was the year of Coraline.
Yep.
I think Frankenweenie came out this year.
Frankenweenie.
Yeah. I don't remember. I just remember it like the five nominees at the Oscars for Best Animated Film were all really good, and Princess and the Frog was one of them.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that helped. I also wonder if there's a little bit of racism involved too.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I think it's an underrated film and underrated soundtrack, and definitely one I was considering. So great choice.
Thanks. Okay,
All right,
Brian,
Brian.
last pick.
Yeah, very,
Last
very
pick.
interesting choice. So yeah, I feel like my last pick is safe given that conversation in the last couple. So maybe I should go with something. I'm gonna go with. I'm happy to tell you what I was originally going to pick, but because we're all kind of going with something interesting to talk about with our last pick, then with my final, I'm taking Tangled.
Ooh, the movie
got-
Kristen Bell wanted to be in.
Exactly, which ultimately led her to getting Frozen. But we have Mandy Moore, and like the last time, I don't know, the last time you go back and listen to the songs, and they're actually really good. Her song about the first song where she sings what's it called about like just living. I should look up the track listing, but what's the name of that?
When Will My Life Begin?
When Will My Life Begin? Exactly. Is really well written, well performed. It's really cute. And then you have the big musical number in the bar. I Have a
Brad
Dream.
Garrett.
We got Brad Garrett. It's such a fun, good rollicking kind of time. And then with the villain songs, you get Mother Knows Best, which is like, especially for for me and anybody else that might have interesting or complicated relationships with their parents or mothers. That song, like, it really rings home, and it's just so like smarmy and well done. And, I think Tangled is one that's like, it's an underrated. It's just an overall underrated movie, but it's a really underrated soundtrack. It's really good.
That's a good final pick.
Yeah.
Another Alan Menken jam with lyrics by Glenn Slater. I See the Light was nominated for Best Song and lost.
If we want to start this conversation, I thought about my safe pick. I thought about going Toy Story, but we just talked about Randy Newman. We kind of got that already, and really,
I
there's
also
only a
think
couple
Toy Story
songs.
isn't technically eligible.
Oh, is it? Does that not count as?
I don't think
Disney
Disney owned
Pixar?
Pixar at the time because that's the first Pixar movie, right?
I think
I don't know
think
if
Toy
it is
Story
or not.
counts as Disney, right? They have a whole Toy Story land in Disney.
Yeah, but they own it now. Whatever.
Right.
It's a
Well,
moot point.
anyway, I guess I didn't pick it, but yeah, I would have gone with that was my other choice. So,
I
what other
had
honorable mentions do you guys have?
I have Aristocats as an honorable mention.
Good
That was
one.
one I was thinking about, and then Snow White, especially with Hi Ho. I know that's
Oh,
going
yeah.
way back, but that was solid. The one movie I didn't know what to do with because I love the music, even though there's not necessarily a lot of songs, is Soul.
Oh yeah.
I looked it up. The score of that movie is like 68 minutes. It's 64 minutes long.
Yeah, so we did.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you were on the text train. We did allow, as long as like it was original, score would have counted.
Well, and I get that, but it's hard. Like if we're talking, I can't talk about the score that long. Like there's not individual songs that I can necessarily point to. It's just got phenomenal music in it, and I didn't quite know what to do with it. So I'm happier with I think my 6 picks.
The Atticus Finch and not Atticus Finch, Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor jam won the Oscars for best score for Soul.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great score.
Yeah, no, it is one like I had on my list. I just didn't quite know what to do with. But that Snow White and Aristocats are what I had that nobody ended up picking.
The Aristocats was another one that in the text thread with my friends. They're like, "How is this not picked?" I was like, "I don't think I've seen this movie."
Everybody wants to be a cat.
Yeah. I think I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tarzan was one that I was considering. Pocahontas. Another Disney Renaissance.
The 190s movie I don't think we picked.
Yeah.
Right?
I had it written down, but yeah, it's not quite as good as the other ones. And Mel Gibson can't sing to save his life.
Nope.
And it's also like it's just Colors of the Wind.
Around the River Bend.
Yeah,
Colors of the Wind.
Yeah.
I considered a Goofy movie.
I thought about that too.
That's a good choice.
And then I realized though I only like the ending song that I
that's the only song I know.
Are there 2 Powerline songs?
Yeah, there's technically
Eye to Eye
Stand Up.
and Stand Up. That's right.
It's a song
What
that
about-
the kid mouths at the beginning.
What about Peter Pan?
I thought about Peter Pan too.
I think that's another one. Like, it's old, but some classic, and maybe it's like the characters, like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell or and Captain Hook are such iconic characters, but are the songs? I don't know. Like,
the songs are good. They do have the one that would probably not be allowed to be released today.
Yep. That's true.
Well, they did remake it, so I don't know if they remade it with that song.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I believe I can fly, or not. I believe I can fly. I can fly.
That's right. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't think I can name a single. I can recall a single Peter Pan song.
Really?
Well, I can't sing it, but
I'll look it up. But
yeah.
We went through most of mine. Basically everything, because I wrote down basically 18 and a couple others. I think we did an excellent job.
Yeah, I think this.
Yeah.
So let's should we do a quick recap of everybody's teams?
Brian, what are your 6 movies that you picked?
We have in Kanto, we have Frozen's 1 and 2, Moana, Pinocchio, and Tangled.
Dan, what are your 6 picks?
I've got Aladdin anchoring my team with Beauty and the Beast, Jungle Book, Mary Poppins, Cinderella, and Princess and the Frog playing support.
Nice.
And I have just the Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen of this draft of The Lion King and The Little Mermaid. I got Dennis Rodman with The Nightmare Before Christmas. I got Steve Kerr with Mulan, who's kind of he's just shooting corner threes. Oh man, I can't. Who's the foreigner on that Bulls team? Kukoc and Hercules and Coco coming off the bench.
Pretty good.
That's a pretty good recall of those late 90s Bulls.
Yeah.
I kind of lost the thread at the end.
I'm going to take your word for it because I know nothing about basketball.
No.
I feel like now that I'm looking through it, is like maybe I should have had an older movie. All my movies are
Little Made is
89.
It's all right.
Yeah, 89 is the they were all picked while you were alive.
they were all picked while I was alive, and they're basically all 90s movies.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm gonna put this to a vote on my
yeah.
I don't know how many people will actually see it.
I think if I'm voting, if I see these and I have to vote on, I think I'm voting for Dan's team. I think that's the team I'm most worried about after the draft.
I might be a little bit partial, but I do like the way my team kind of rounded out.
Yeah, man. I do. Well, I would obviously vote for mine. I think my top half. I probably should have done some more research at the end. Whatever. What are you going to do? This is all for.
It's all for fun.
Exactly.
You mean we don't have $50 on who's coming out on top of this?
Knowing you scoundrel, you would have.
I think my team will look better in hindsight. Like mine needs a couple of years.
It's a keeper league, right?
We're trying. Yeah, exactly.
When they do a live action in Kanto in 2 years.
That's definitely we just play it for real.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank
you guys. This was fun, gentlemen. Yeah.
Good time. Let us know when you want to do movies.
Yeah, we should. I'm down to continue to do these pop culture drafts or whatever. This is great.
All right, Dan, do you have anything you want to promote? Do you even have a Twitter account?
No.
Brian, what's your Twitter account or your Isles Twitter account?
Yeah, you can. I have a regular regular account, which I think is just BW. I don't even remember what my
it's like
normal
BWH
one is.
1986, I think.
Yeah, I think that's my regular Twitter. If you want to follow me there, if you want. But the more important one is the Chicago chapter of the Islanders meetup group. We get together and watch Islanders games for any displaced New Yorkers or really anybody else that I can drag out there. And you can find that Twitter page at Isles Meetup Chai. That's ISLES Meetup, MEETUP, Chai, CHI, all one word. Isles Meetup Chai. So would love to chat about this and maybe get some new hockey fans out there too. So thank you.
Awesome.
Let me know about the results.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. And
I think
we got
it's going to be like 6 people voting on this, so I'm like not too like. I have like 1,300 followers, but I think 1,200 of them have me muted. So we'll see. This is just for fun.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'll retweet it from my 2 accounts so anybody can find me that way. But yeah, let's see what the internet has to say, and I'm excited.
We know they're always right.
Exactly. Whatever you think out there, you're right.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. Take care.
All right. Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
Sounds good. Great work.
Bye.
Later. Bye.